everyone. You're watching Barnstable this morning. I'm Sarah Colvin, and joining me live in studio, I welcome our Assistant Town Manager, Mark Ells. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Sarah. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Great. Great.
So we, of course, had the opportunity to attend a really great event over at Marine and Environmental Affairs to recognize all of the hardworking volunteers and, of course, taste some oysters and all sorts of other various and sundry shellfish-related items. Always good to thank those volunteers and see everyone get together.
Oh, it is. And BARS is such a great organization. You know, the work that they do in the relays and the volunteering and cleanups and training our youth and even our adults on shell fishing is just invaluable to our community. It's such a tremendous resource that we have. I've been a member, and I know that my family and both Ted and I go out regularly, as recent as last week.
Absolutely.
So, and I see all of them out on the shellfish flats, and it's great. It's just a wonderful resource we have here. Kind of reinforces our last discussion last week about looking at the shellfish propagation program and developing this even further within our communities.
Absolutely, a really vital part. It's an enjoyable activity as well as a vital part of the environment.
And we have great volunteers. They're just a great group of people, and Department of Natural Resources did a nice job in thanking them.
Absolutely. I want to move on and talk a little bit about transportation. Of course, you are the Town of Barnstable's representative on the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority Board. Tell me a little bit about that role and some of the things you've been working with Tom Kerr and the staff over there on.
Yeah, well, I've been on the Cape Cod Regional Transit Authority now for many years, and primarily we're looking at what that transit authority does here on Cape Cod. So it's the representation is from all the communities on the Cape, and being the largest community and being the community where their transportation center is located, Tom and I meet regularly, and so he had me in this week to talk about some of the numbers, both budgetary and ridership of, within the RTA. The RTA is still growing strong. We're seeing increased numbers in all areas. We've added a new route in and around Hyannis because the villager routes had just reached their saturation point. They could not carry more people, and so they added the Hyannis Loop. Which is a route that really covers downtown, up 132, up into Independence Park, and back again, and it constantly runs. So bottom line with this is that people who need to ride either the Villager or another one of their lines or the Loop can not only have an additional line in there, but more frequent. It's running, basically you can catch a bus somewhere every half an hour.
Absolutely.
And get to a lot of the commercial establishments that are in and around that area I described. So that was good. Ridership is up. That's what he was hoping to see. It was after 3 months because the loop just started. We talked about the annual budget, and really Barnstable's percentage of ridership isn't growing, but more people from other communities are taking the bus into Hyannis to do things, and they are growing. Obviously, the students that are here now from other communities are taking advantage of that, but others are as well. We're with also, and it kind of dovetails nicely with the workshop they were having yesterday doing the strategic planning over at the Senior Center. Looking at transportation issues relevant to seniors is such an important program that we offer here in town and across the Cape. Everything from just day-to-day rides to various places to they have buses that run, if people aren't aware, they have buses that run up to Boston to the various hospitals just to make that easier, especially for our senior population, to get to appointments, to get to see loved ones that may be in the hospital. So Tom looks at this issue of transit, public transit, very comprehensively, and he's served the Cape and certainly Barnstable well since he's been there as their leader. So we talk about bottom line budgets too. We go through each detail of the budget, and he wants to explain to me how the allocations of costs change based on, it's actually a pretty complicated formula that looks at riderships and boardings and where they occur, and then the town's shares who see greater ridership and greater boardings occurring from their town pay a proportionate share.
Interesting. Well, it's really great to see that ridership is up. I know that driving around, I see folks waiting for the bus all the time, people getting on and off. I was a former rider of the RTA when I lived in Chatham and was coming up here to go to school. So it's great to see how it's expanded and how the organization really kind of looks at the needs of the community and sees where they can plug it in. It's kind of a challenge here on the Cape to provide that kind of door-to-door transportation service. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do.
Well, it isn't. Obviously, we don't have that large of an urban setting here, even though Hyannis certainly is. And we had that exact discussion, and some of the questions that they ask us as representatives of the town are, how can we serve you better? How do you think your residents perceive our service? And we got into talking about the fact that growing up, I rode a bus or a T or even a train at times to get into the city. Boston area, and very comfortable with that. And so when this service expanded and became more user-friendly, certainly we use the service. But many people on the Cape aren't thinking about the fact that we have a public transportation system here, and one that's looking to understand your needs so that, if appropriate, they can satisfy it. And that's a good thing, but we need to even reach out to more. And you know, I know they're active with our youth, and they're active with our seniors, and I know they're trying to engage more with the rest of the population. So.
Absolutely. Well, it's certainly good to know that people's voices can and are being heard. Let's talk a little bit while we're on the subject of transportation about parking. I know that's been an ongoing issue, and an RFP is out now from our growth management department looking at some solutions to parking in Hyannis.
Yeah, you're right, and it was one of the other discussions I had with the RTA, because they're also doing this transit-oriented development, meaning looking at their site and what may occur there, and certainly the fact that we have a regional transit location in our town. We have you know, the trains, the buses, we have the ferries leaving here, we have all those who come to visit us. So always transportation, traffic, parking are huge issues for us. When we engaged in reviewing the private parking lots, we also at the same time embarked on looking at all of the parking lots, private and public, from the standpoint of putting in place a comprehensive strategy so that we can get the right people to park in the right place at the right time. And we've got a lot of dynamics going on there between all that I've just described as far as this multimodal center we have here, all of the students that come, all of our residents that want to come, and then the visitors who also come here. So what we're doing with this RFP is bringing on a professional from the outside, a consultant who can help in the process of planning for how best to use all of these assets. And obviously this is going to have a very large public component to it, bringing groups together. If we jump back to the RTA, one of the opportunities we have there is that there's already this multimodal functioning group within the RTA that I've participated in, both in my current position and back when I was in public works. So that's it's somewhat of a technical group, but they understand the issues well. So there's one group that we can engage immediately in it. We can also bring together, you know, the business groups that are out there. The Greater Hyannis Civic Association is key to hear from our residents what they want to see out of this comprehensive parking. So I'm envisioning that growth management will lead many public discussions on this. And ultimately, hopefully, we will have a better managed parking system out there, and a coordinated one with public and private, because the parking, we need to have the parking. We need to work together on the issue to maximize the use of what's out there. So, so we're not looking to step into anybody else's realm. We're just looking to work together to manage this as effectively as we can. So that's hopefully the outcome of this, with some recommended infrastructure improvements and maybe policy type issues and revenue projections based on, you know, if we use it more efficiently, we may be able to generate more revenues to help offset the costs of the infrastructure if we want to go forward with something like that. So we're looking forward to working on this and engaging the community in it.
Great. What's the timeline on the RFP right now?
It's coming due within this calendar year. So I would expect that you'll see us out there. We'll go through a selection process. You know, you do those within 30 to 90 days normally. So by late winter, spring, we'll be well into this.
Great. Well, Mark, thank you so much, as always, for joining
Well,
us
thanks
here
for
on
having me.
Barnstable this morning. Thank you
It's
so
good
much.
to see you.
Mark Ells is our Assistant Town Manager for Barnstable this morning. I'm Sarah Colvin.